Have you ever noticed how some of the most successful people we look at and look to seem to have more time than the rest of us? Well, here's the craziest thing. They don't have more time. They just use it differently. And today I'm going to show you exactly how they do it. So welcome back to the Mind of George show. This is a place where entrepreneurs discover that true scaling isn't about hacks or tactics. It's about aligning your mindset, your messaging, and your marketing to create sustainable growth that feels authentic and aligned to who you are while allowing you to be yourself in the entire process. And in this episode, it's a special episode because this is a training call that I did with my private community. We are going to break down one of my most powerful frameworks, which is called the Wedge of Expectations. We take that and we get into the incredible author Mike Michalowicz's game-changing 4T systems, which we utilize so that we can break free from feast or famine cycles, so that we can understand that quote unquote boring is actually the secret to success. Because here's the thing, success is simple because success can be scheduled. I didn't say it's easy, I said it's simple. But today we're going to break down exactly how to do that and make it happen for you. And so if you feel like you're constantly overwhelmed or overworked or drowning in your to-do list, which truthfully is me, and I had one of those moments today, and that's why this episode is being dropped, because I needed it for myself. Or you feel like you're stuck in the cycle of burnout and recovery, and you actually want to be able to do more by doing less, then this episode is for you. And I know that feeling of overwhelm. I love pulling statistics lately, and I found one study that said 87% of entrepreneurs report feeling overwhelmed weekly. And what it really boils down to is that there's going to be a forever amount of tasks for us to do, but when we focus on the right ones that move the needle, we can create those results and that progress. And so this episode will break down a framework, a system for you to apply on top of your life or on top of your business to utilize today. And so I'm stoked to share this with you. I can't wait to see you in the episode. Enjoy and let me know how it goes.
All right, Alliance fan, welcome to another drop. Happy Friday or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day you're watching this. I just wanted to say hello. I am going to be talking to you today about tracking your time, managing where you give that time and those services, taking time to rest, and some of my favorite tools and activities to follow. And I've actually spent the last hour or so scouring the internet for Mike Michalowicz's resources and time trackers and just the frame to be able to operate at your best. And so before we get into this, you're going to see me looking down, and it's because I have reference notes in front of me. So if you don't see my eyes looking at the camera, it's because I'm looking at the reference notes. And so with this, I can speak from personal experience, and I've seen this happen across the board right now, for myself included, feeling overstretched because I have a ton of services. I have one-on-one clients. I have a podcast. I have this incredible alliance. I have events. I serve other people's clients. I have speaking opportunities. And there are quite a few services, containers, or structure options for clients to choose from. And so what ends up happening for me particularly is that I will feel like I'm on the edge of burnout. Like I can't get off my phone. I have to respond to everybody. And then my pattern is I like to recluse. I disappear. I'll not look at my phone for 5 days. I'll not look at it for 7 days. And then I feel like I have to catch up again. And it's almost like this feast or famine with my working out or with my energy. And it's overworking all the time. And so I end up getting addicted to the high because I'll get overworked, I'll recluse back, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. And then I'll go and I'm like, look, this is working. And I end up getting an emotional payoff from the work. And this is one of the most powerful things that was ever said to me. Success is simple because simple can be scheduled. And if I'm getting a dopamine hit or a payoff through my inputs, I'm already on the path to lose the game. And so if we're constantly addicted to the highs, we're doing all of the things in the business thinking that we don't deserve time to rest, we end up losing our best ability on mundane tasks. We end up doing things that don't move the needle. We end up getting distracted. We end up consuming things or adding things that complicate the offer, that complicate the process. And then the worst part is when we have close people with us, our family, our friends, we sacrifice our time and what matters with them under the guise of I'll do it in the future, or I'll do it down the road, or when I just get this one thing fixed. And at the core of it, the true breakthrough is operating now like it's already been done. And so in this drop, I'm going to talk about 3 specific things. Number 1, the Wedge of Expectations. Number 2, Mike Michalowicz's 4 T's: treasure, trim, transfer, and trash. He also has them in clockwork under the 4Ds, which is do, delegate, defer, delete. But I like the treasure, trim, transfer, trash. And then the third one is a time audit. And so, number one, the wedge of expectations. I have learned personally in the world of client work, and even with physical products, digital products, if you're a consultant, you're a coach, it can genuinely feel like the work is never ending. And that the moment something is done, you're waiting for a fire to happen. But in the world of coaching, that's the nature of the game. There's always going to be nuance. And what I love about Mike Michalowicz's book, Clockwork, is he talks about the queen bee role. And that queen bee role is the thing that genuinely creates the most revenue or the most amount of success. And an example he gives in the book is about financial planners. And you'd think that their queen bee role would to get more people to sign up, but their queen bee role is actually to over proactively communicate with all of their customers so that they feel confident with their investments. And that makes sense because that allows them to stay on as a client and refer other people. And so if you have not read Clockwork, I found some resources today and I'm going to be sharing one of them. Hold on, silencing a phone call. I'm going to be sharing one of them. I'm not editing this. Welcome to my phone ringing. I'm going to be sharing a resource from a podcast who breaks down a chapter of the book on treasure, trim, transfer, and trash. But they also broke down every other chapter of the book Clockwork. And I highly recommend that you take a peek at it. And so in the lens of the wedge of expectations, the wedge of expectations is not supposed to be applied to tasks that we should be transferring or trimming, or in the lens of tasks that aren't moving the needle in our business. So not the tasks that are the queen bee roles. But when it is applied to the queen bee roles, when it is applied to those needle moving activities, what we do is we protect our progress, but we also give ourselves ability to say, I did it today. I planted today. I seeded today. I watered today. And so with the wedge of expectations, it's knowing that right now I'm in the middle of a customer journey project and there's probably 20 hours of work for me. And so before this drop, I knocked out about 15 minutes of it and I put some structure to it and I made some notes. And that's what I'm chunking down today. And then this afternoon, I'm going to come back to it. And then tomorrow, I'm going to try to do a big chunk. And it's about making progress and prioritizing those things. So then when it comes to the 4 T's, it's treasure, which is the things that we keep and love. Number one, they move the needle in our business. Or number two, we keep them because they give us a payoff. They make us happy. They make us excited. So for me, one of those things is getting interviewed or doing trainings in other people's communities or keynoting. And I've never charged for a keynote, but I genuinely love keynoting and going into those buckets and serving people. And it's something that I treasure and I protect, but it's not a giant needle mover. Trimming are the things that ourselves or no one else in our business should be operating. They shouldn't be working on. They're fluff. They get in the way. They get in the way of outcomes. Transferring are things that need to be done or get to be done in the business, but they might not be best done by us. And that's where we look at those tasks of what we need to transfer. And that's what helps us find the job description or outcome to find somebody to give that task to. And then trim. Trim is trimming it down to make it more simple. And then the fourth one is trash. Trash is the one that we throw in the trash and get rid of that we don't need to be doing, nobody needs to be doing. But trimming is where we have something we've done, how we serve a client, how we have an offer, how we serve a process. But we go in and we make that process smoother. We make it easier. We make it more efficient to be able to deliver that. And so, number one, wedge of expectations. We want to use the wedge of expectations to make sure that we're constantly making progress, but we're only making progress on those items that we're treasuring, the ones that are our queen bee role. And the most important thing to do is to have an awareness of your time. Time bleed and time creep is a very real thing. And if we lose track of our time, then we think we're doing things, but we're actually being distracted and getting in the way. And so then it leads to this feeling of overwhelm. I got to go to my inbox tonight. I got to do this. I got to respond to these messages. And we end up being reactive to everything that's happening around us rather than being proactive about putting those inputs in on the field, which brings me to number 3. I found an incredible resource that these people made with a time tracker that's in an Excel sheet. And it's all based on Mike Michalowicz's book, Clockwork. And it allows you to track your time. And it even gives you pie charts of where you're spending your time once you have your needle movers or your queen bee role. And so my invitation to you is to do a really big audit of your time. If you're out looking for new clients and you're like, I'm going to be creating connections, you're going to get rejected. It's going to happen. You're going to have people that don't respond to you. It's going to happen. But if you're doing a time audit and you're like, I'm going to spend 20 minutes a day doing that, but then in reality, you track it and you realize you're spending 2 hours a day doing it and you're not getting a result, then it would be time to look at that and figure out what needle to change or what lever to pull differently. And so I just want to acknowledge that the feelings of overwhelm and constantly having to go and thinking I can always do more and then doing more and doing more is real. And it's also a trap. And I know this firsthand because I was just off grid for 5 days and I was ruminating. I was in my brain. I had many moments of tears. And then I realized that all the things that I was fearing and all the things that were coming up for me, even being off my phone at a wedding for 5 days, when I got to the airport, I did in under an hour. And in doing those, I had clarity that it's okay to take time off and it's okay to fill my bucket, because when my bucket is full and when I'm operating clearly and choosing where I put my time, then the things that I create the best positive result. And so below this drop, I'm going to tell you what resources I'm including. So resource number 1 is I found this incredible podcast. It's only 19 minutes. It's from the Clockwork Book Club, and they break down this trash, transfer, trim, or treasure. Okay. Number 2 is a resource on how to get the most out of your time tracking, where they also debrief trash, trim, treasure, transfer, and they break down what to transfer and how. And then I have the absolute best time tracker I've seen, which is broken down by Mike Michalowicz's 4Ds, which is do, decide, delegate, design. Do, decide, delegate, design. I mixed his up in the beginning. And I'm going to be putting those resources below this drop. And this is not one of those things that's done in 10 minutes. This is one of those things that you do, that you practice, and that you honor in the way that Mike teaches this. And Mike is the best in the world in operations when it comes to entrepreneurs. Like, you know how many times I talk about his books, how much I reference him, is that you tracking your time and having an awareness of where you spend it is the most powerful tool that you can have in your arsenal. It's the most powerful awareness that you can have in your arsenal. And so it even brings an awareness to us that when we find ourselves overwhelmed or checking boxes and constantly sacrificing our time, it's not an invitation to stop or keep going those. It's an invitation to come back to our awareness of our time and asking ourselves, is this currently moving the needle in our business? Is this currently moving the needle in my life? Is this aligned to my big vision or to my queen bee role? And so I want to end this drop with the same quote that I said at the beginning. Success is simple because success can be scheduled. And I have learned that when I am operating at my best, when I am getting the best results, everything feels boring and easy and almost like my body wants to break things because I'm used to being overwhelmed. But in actuality, I need to protect that time, protect that energy, and spend more time in it. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. I'll put a link to all of these in the drop. I love you to pieces. Mwah. No matter what, I would love to hear your thoughts on time, on the wedge of expectations, on the trim, transfer, trash, and treasure. And I can't wait to hear the results, because the things that I've read and people have posted these in here, it's really insane. I've probably only tracked 75% of my context switches, and it's already nuts back and forth, realizing how distracted I am. My time tracking is crazy. I could fill pages and pages. So many distractions and interruptions, even if I say do not disturb. It may never be the right time to capture a typical week, but as imperfect as it was, my time tracking has given me lots of valuable insight about how I personally can be much more efficient with my time. And so the more awareness that we bring to our time, the more power we have over our time. And so that's our invitation for you. So I love you to pieces. I can't wait to see you on the next call, and I'll see you in the lines.